Hi Stitchers, this is Olivia, back for another Flosstube. It's been, I think, about 3 months since my last one. We're kind of at the end of January, I think, finally, hopefully. I hope you're all doing well. I am here for a Flosstube update. I am going to show you what I've been stitching and some of the stuff I've been working on quilting, and talk about a new little project I've got going. So thanks for joining me. I have been stitching away since I last saw you. Oh, I should say I'm different backdrop if you're, you know, usually my craft room. Dusty, my dog Dusty was enjoying a nap, but I didn't want to wake him. But of course, once I set up here, he's up. But whatever. The fireplace behind me that we have never used because I live in Northern California, and it's not that cold. We can just turn the heater on, and we don't need more smoke in the air here. So anyway, I think I will just go right into my stitching. Let's see. Last time I talked to you was the end of October. So going into November, I had 2 whips. I am now up to 4. Woo! But I've also started and finished a couple of things since I last saw you. So in November, I started Turkey Trot by Not Forgotten Farm. It's from the Autumn at Not Forgotten Farm book. This is an awesome book. Here's the piece. I stitched it on a piece of scrap linen I had. I think it's a 36 count hand-dyed fibers. I stitched it in the called for DMC, except for there was one light colored DMC that blended into my fabric too much. It's on the little vases here, and then what I think are acorns. I just replaced it with acorns from Gentle Arts. And I love how it turned out. I love that big mustard house. I just need to FFO it. I think I'll make a big pillow out of it, but who knows. Or actually, no, I think I was thinking I would do some pieced fabric around it and maybe make it a little mini quilt that I could hang up around Thanksgiving. So another great Not Forgotten Farm piece. And then I wanted to stitch a Christmas design. I didn't know how many Christmas designs I would end up starting, and I only started one and got completely addicted to it. And this is Esther by Kathy Barrick. Isn't she beautiful? I don't know if you can see, it's a very big sheep. She is actually named Esther after Laurie Brecklin's sheep, just right on the back, who had passed. And she's beautiful. Love this design. I love the colors. I just kind of has a Scandinavian feel to me. It's very much in my vibe. So I started this and I just kept going on it and finished it. I stitched it on 40 count Autumn Gold from Lakeside Linens in the called for MPIs. The only change I made was I didn't stitch the date at the top. It said December 25th, 1841. I plan on having this up all year round, and also if I calculate correctly, this will fit in an 8x10 without the date on top. You can't really, I'm not sure you can tell, but she's actually 2 shades of white. I can't even really tell it in person. But there is some nice shade. There is actually some shading in there, and that actually made it a little more interesting to stitch than if she was just one big white piece. But I stitch in hand these days, and so blocks of color are actually not bad. When I stitch on a Q-snap, I found them more tedious, but I know everyone is kind of different on that. Some people love blocks of color, some people don't, but now I don't mind them. But yeah, she was a total joy to stitch. There's a lot of little straight stitches on that tree, and I love how she pops on a slightly darker fabric. So I plan on framing her in a black frame. I'm just probably going to buy a simple 8x10 and paint it black, unless I can find a good black one I like. So that is Esther. Loved her. To update you on a couple of projects. Oh, the 2 whips that I had last time. I haven't put a ton of time into this one. I need to spend some more focused time. This is When the Calling Birds Sing from Exemplars from the Heart. You can now find this pattern kittenstitcher.com, and I am converting it. It was done in hand-dyed fiber silks, and I'm choosing my own colors from cottons. It's not too far off from this picture though. I'm stitching on a 40 count Zweigart linen in platinum. I put some work on the border and on the tree. So this piece is always fun to work on. And also I had started last time I did a video, I had started autumn on Lazy Bear Mountain, Kathy Barrick. Love this piece so much. I'm glad I finally started it. I am stitching it on 40 count vintage wood smoke by Lakeside Linens, inspired by my friend Kelly from the Evergreen Needle, who stitched it on that fabric. I know you guys have seen this one a lot, but I put more work in on the border and started that fence down the middle. I thought it would be great to do the fence in the middle as like a marker for counting, and of course it's totally off. I stitched down here and then started doing the little like tops, and I just made that stupid assumption that was an equal amount of stitches in between each one, and it's not. Some have one more than others, and I didn't realize till I got down here. So I've kind of played with my working copy so that I know now, you know, what's where. There will be a few minor adjustments. I am a total fudger when it comes to messing up in cross stitch. No shame, as long as I can, you know, figure it out. But yeah, so I'm converting the colors in this one from the MPI to overdyed cottons, and I really enjoy it. Yeah. I've been in winter, so I haven't really been working on this one as much over the last month because, you know, it's very fall. But I do love fall all year round, so I will get back to that soon. These are the colors I've been using. That bright one is Tomato by Gentle Arts. There were a couple like really bright DMCs that I switched out. But I still tried to keep some, you know, keep some of the brights in there to not make it too dull, because that is what I do sometimes. And then, wait, no, which one's this? Oh yeah, and then I recently, almost forgot, I needed a smaller piece. So I started Pomegranate Garden by Not Forgotten Farm. I've been wanting to stitch this one for a long time. I'm stitching it in the called for DMCs. Another scrap. This I think is a 40 count from Victoria Motto Sampler Shop, an old one. And yes, I love that little mustard house with the rust roof. Just so cute. So it'd be like a pomegranate vine that goes all across there. You can't quite see on here on the picture, but there's like a head with angel wings on top of the house, and there's a year. I'm probably going to take those off, and then I think I'll probably use like a maybe a key motif from another Not Forgotten Farm pattern to try to finish it off on the top. So but yeah, I love that little house. How cute is that? So that's a fun one. I think I like to have a Not Forgotten Farm piece going at all times. It's always fun to work with. I love that the pictures aren't great, because then I kind of learn as I go what it looks like. It's like a little surprise. So, and I always end up loving the colors, even if I don't love them in the picture. So, and then I had another big start, because why not add another big whip? This is actually haul since I last saw you. This is a Quaker Dwelling by Kathy Barrick. I just love this, and I love the colors. I'm stitching this in the called for MPIs that I received for Christmas from my sister and my mom. Oh God, I hope you can see them right well. They're a little scraggly because I'm working on this, but it's these beautiful teals and kind kind of greenish yellow colors. You have this beautiful red in here and some browns. So I made kind of a bold fabric choice on this one. I am stitching this on 40 count vintage copper by Lakeside Linens. And here is where I'm at. I've got the top story done. So I came across this linen at my LNS a few years back, and it was just so beautiful. I think the color's coming across well. And I bought it, and I didn't know what I was going to use it for. And then when this chart came out at market, I don't know, it was something about it. I think it's the teals. I really love like dark teal colors, and I saw that, and I was thinking, God, that would be perfect for my vintage copper linen. And I've always kind of had that in the back of my head, and then I hadn't even bought in the chart yet. And then I think in maybe November, I remembered I had some credit left with Kitten Stitcher from a gift card my sister got me a while back. And she had overstock of this chart in her clearance section. I was like, oh my God, I haven't even bought that yet. So I bought the chart, and then I asked for the silks for Christmas. And then day after Christmas, I started. And even though I had always known I wanted to do it on this fabric, of course, like, just, I was doubting myself definitely before I started it. So thank you to my friends who were like, do it. Because, it's just different. The chart is on let's see, what's it called for? Salt Rock from Color and Cotton. So it's obviously a much lighter color. But I do love how it's coming out. I don't know, it almost gives it like a warm sunset feel to me. So I just loved the colors on the color combination, and this is so fun to stitch. I love big houses, and the bricks are just a lot of fun. She's got a bunch of different shades in there, so it's kind of like, I don't know, it's just so cool. And then it's got like that warm red door and the warm, lit windows, and then the roof is just, what do you call that color, like chartreuse? Anyway, and then, you've got the Quaker motifs kind of break up. Anyway, I love this. I'm having so much fun. I should probably take a break and work on When Calling Birds Sing, but I've really been enjoying stitching that. So yeah, that is all of my whips. All right, so I thought we would do haul real quick. I mentioned that I had made a purchase from Kitten Stitcher. I bought one other chart from her, and that is Love the Truth from Exemplar Dames. Just thought that was really pretty, and I didn't have it, so that one calls for Weeks Dye Works floss, and yeah, it's really pretty. And then I had put in a purchase at Threadwork Primitives for a couple of Christmas gifts, and I bought myself one. I've wanted this forever. Christmas fruit basket. A lot of people have stitched this one. It's just really pretty. I think it's kind of classic. And then for Christmas, from my mom and sister again, so I have wanted to stitch Frederick by Kathy Barrick for a long time, as has my friend Maddie. And Maddie found this picture online from a Russian stitcher who stitched Frederick and Frederica together. So I asked for Frederica for Christmas and received it. And so the way she has it, Frederick's head is flipped around so that he's facing Frederica, and it's all in one piece, and it's beautiful. I will see if I can insert a picture of it here. So Maddie sent me that picture, and we both want to stitch the two of them together, so I needed Frederica. And for Christmas, Maddie sent me a couple of the MPIs, and I asked for the others, and see them. So I've got most of the MPIs. So I am really hoping to stitch these two beauties together this year, and put them on my bird wall, where I've got another Kathy Barrick bird, and hopefully many more in the future hanging up. Maddie also got me this really cute Kathy Schmidt's pattern to make a project bag. Isn't that beautiful? So I hope to do that eventually. So thank you, Maddie. And that's it for haul, actually. Yeah. So I am going to switch over to the pieces that I've framed. So for Black Friday, I took advantage of some sales that were going on to order some custom frames that I'd been wanting. So the first place that I ordered from is on Etsy, and they are called Modern Wall Framing Co. Modern Wall Framing Co. All one word. I'll put it on the screen. I had used them before to frame one thing. Oh, wait, no. Oh, yes, for my City Stitcher Starry Night sampler. I had purchased a frame from them, and that experience went really well. And so this time around, I ordered 3 frames from them. So what I do is I message them and I let them know the exact frame I want and the exact size, because I usually have mine down to the 1/4 inch. I measure my piece, and then I add 1 inch to each side dimension, and then that usually gives me a 1/4 inch or all the way around for the kind of the lip of the frame, and then about a 1/4 inch border of fabric around my piece. So if I, stitch something that's, say, 6 by 7, I would order a frame that's 7 by 8. So I send them a message with the exact dimensions, and then I also have them include museum quality, like anti-glare acrylic is what they use, and they cut that, and it comes with the acrylic cut and foam core in there. You can order a mat board if you want. I don't. I will use mat board on the backing usually, behind the piece, but I will buy acid-free mat board from the framing department at Michael's in big pieces and cut that down. I just find that's cheaper. But if you wanted to, you could spend a few extra dollars and it would come already cut. So I will show you the 3 that I had bought frames for from them, and then I framed them myself. I pin and lace. So I have framed a lot of the majority of my own pieces I've framed myself over the years, and I've learned some valuable lessons. I think the main lesson that I have learned that has helped me is that I just need to take my time, which sounds simple, but usually I just really, I've put all this time into stitching it. I'm not really interested in the framing process. I just want it framed and on my wall, and I will, pin it or do whatever, and then I will stick it in the frame and I'll realize it's a little off, but by then I'm just so frustrated over it that I'll leave it. So, oh, I have a visitor. Excuse me as he passes by. He's just annoyed with me because I'm making this video and not focusing on him. So what I do now, sorry guys, what I do now is I will measure out about a 1/2 inch from one of the sides of my piece, and I will count how many stitches that is. Normally it's usually about 10 stitches or 20 threads, because I mostly stitch on 40 count these days. And so say it's 10 stitches, I will count out 10 stitches, and I will take my tapestry needle and some sewing thread, and I will weave that sewing thread through that edge in a straight line. So always 10 stitches out, right, from the edge of my work. And I will do that around all 4 sides. It does take time. But what that does mean is it gives me like excuse me, I knew he was gonna start barking. Sorry about that. Okay, so now once I do that with the thread all the way on all 4 sides, that just usually gives me the line of what the edge of the foam core board is. But even if it doesn't matter. As long as I can look at it and I can see exactly what equal distance is on all 4 sides, that helps me a lot when I'm doing the pinning. So then I'll go around and pin, and if it's a little off at any point, I will fix it. That's important. I didn't always do that. But I try to keep an eye on it and do that. So then once I have it pinned all the way around, I take the time to also lace it. I tend to use pearl cotton, 12 or 8, whatever I have handy. And I will really take my time with that too and try to get it all the same tension and look at it. Now, despite all of that, it's never perfect. I think if I tried to get it perfect, I would never get anything framed, to be honest. So I really do try to cut myself a break there. There are pieces that I have framed in the past, and I have reframed them since. There are some things hanging on my wall framed that I framed that I will probably reframe in the future. So I give myself a little bit of flexibility that way. But I am happy with how these came out, and I can tell that taking my time has really helped and made a difference. So it can take me a few hours to frame something, but I do them. I don't sit there and do it all day long. I'll do one here, one there. It might take, a couple evenings worth of working on it, whatever. So anyway, that's how I do my framing. There are some great videos, tutorials out there that will show you how to do that. So the first one up, this is Peace and Goodwill Sampler by Chessie and Me. There's a glare because there's a window across from me, but when this is hanging on the wall, I can't even see the acrylic on there. I love the sampler. I love the colors. This is kind of my favorite Christmas aesthetic, the nature, the deer, the big red house. So I went with a simple frame, kind of simple. It's like I wanted the wood look. I didn't really realize online when I was ordering it how skinny it was. If I could choose, I'd probably have it be a little wider, but I still like how it came out. So that's Peace and Goodwill. And then I finally framed my Christmas Garden by Blackbird Designs. I did convert the colors in this piece to Gloriana's, so it's not the soft colors that you're used to seeing. This is just more my aesthetic, or more vibrant, deeper colors. I went for an ornate frame on this, which is out of my comfort zone. I really kind of took a risk. It's also like a cherry color, I think they call it, which was also a bit of a risk, especially because I was ordering it online, but I just went for it, and I do like how it turned out. It deserved it. So that is Christmas Garden. And then the third and final frame from Modern Wall Framing. This is, I don't know why I can't remember the title, Country House Sampler from Brenda Keys. I went with, this black frame. I stitched this one on a 25 count even weave over 1. And I love how that turned out. This is like a stretchier fabric, so I had to be kind of careful with this one, but it worked out. And then I tried another framing shop on Etsy. So both of these places had Black Friday sales. So their frames were like, I think, 20% off, which was a good deal. I could not pass up. And I've been saving up for them for a while for frames for these pieces. You can really, go on there and see how much it's going to cost you. You save some money framing yourself. You can see the cost up front. And I think they're fair. The pricing is fair. They're not super cheap. They're still custom frames, and they're nice frames. I like the choices that these shops had. So anyway, so the other shop is Bresler Frames. Wait, I have to make sure there's no K. I want to give you the code on here. Bresler Frames, and this was a frame. I wanted something more, again, ornate. This is for Luz Gonzalez. I don't have the chart here, but on the cover of the chart, the model is in a similar frame. I don't think I would have had the guts to go with this if I hadn't already seen how it looked at the attic and on the cover of the chart. And I do love how it came out. So that was a nice frame from Bresler Frames. I think she looks awfully pretty. I like how the black plays with all the colors in the piece. So, and I do want to say just thank you so much. I shared this on Instagram and a couple of those Christmas ones, and you guys are always just so nice to me and so supportive. My partner really, he tries kind of, but he, I joke with my friends because no matter what I show him, he always says the same thing. Nice. And it's like you'll spend like years working on a piece and then spend hours working on the framing and then it's just like nice, and then you put it on Instagram and your fellow stitchers are like have so many nice things to say. And while that's not the reason I stitch, it's a very nice benefit and it's very encouraging and it definitely pushes me along in my stitch pieces. So thank you so much for your support on those. So those were the custom frames that I bought. And then I had this thrift store frame I bought years ago, and I thought it ended up being perfect for Winchester Mystery House. I bought this frame for like $5 in a thrift store years ago. I just couldn't walk away from it. It's just so cool. And my sister was over once, and I showed it to her, and she said, "That looks like it belongs in the Winchester Mystery House." And she meant the frame looks like it belongs in the mansion. But then it just kind of dawned on me like, oh God, the mansion would look perfect in the frame. And I measured it and it fit. I mean, like maybe there's just like a 1/16 of an inch on each side if it had been just like in a little bit more, but I mean, I couldn't ask for better. I really couldn't. So this does not have glass in it. So what I did was I took the foam core, I glued some batting to it, and then I spray glued it, put some batting on there, and then I also put a piece of muslin over the batting. And then I put the piece on it, and then I pinned it and laced it. So I love it. I'm really happy with how that turned out. All right, and the last one is my big red ship of life. I did not frame it. I made it into a wall hanging. I don't think I can show it very well. So I think I'm going to bring you over to the wall. So one second. All right, so we are in my dining area, and this is a wall in my dining area. I always knew I wanted to hang Big Red Ship of Life in here. If I'm being honest, I really thought that it would cover the entire wall in my head. And then I went to go hang it and I was like, oh, it's not quite as big as I remember. When I was stitching it, it felt like it would cover a whole wall. That's Tapestry, also by Ink Circles. So the hanger is from another Etsy shop called, I can't remember. I think it's Quilt Hangers. And you can custom order. It comes with the top bar and the bottom bar. They have a few different colors of wood and you can custom order the size. So the piece is 20 inches wide and I chose 22-inch wide bars. They also give you a few choices on the hanger. I took the black rope. And then what I did was, so I wanted to leave myself options in the future. Should I just change how I want to display this? So I did not cut the border. What I did was I folded it behind and pressed it. And then I took a piece of muslin and I, just like an unbleached muslin. And let's see, take it down, sorry. I took an unbleached muslin and I ironed some fusible fleece onto the back of it just to give it a little substance. And then I sewed them right sides together all the way around with a little window to leave it so I could turn it out. And then, sorry guys, oof, kind of heavy. Turned it inside out, pressed it all around, top stitched it. And so it's just, a wall hanging, but it's got more weight and there's something behind the stitched piece. And then should I ever want to say frame it, I can just remove the fabric from the back and I still have fabric to wrap around, some foam core to frame it, but it's big. So I did want to talk about something. You might notice that it's like you can kind of see, I guess you could say like maybe like a kind of a wrinkle through here. And then I don't know if you can tell that it's just slightly off. So when I started this piece, I guess now it's been like 6 years. I was still pretty new to cross stitch, and I had not watched, years of Flosstube like I have now, or, experienced a variety of fabrics. And I knew I was stitching a big piece, and in my head what made sense was to stitch it on cheap fabric since I needed a big piece. So I bought this piece of, I think it was Charles Craft, I think it's off the bolt. I bought it from a seller on eBay. There's nothing wrong with that, but I would say that if you're going to be stitching a large piece and investing a lot of time into something, I really think it's worth it to try to get a nice piece of quality linen. The reason I say that is because this linen was not completely even. So once I finished stitching this, pressed it, everything, the angles, the corners are not 90 degrees. So I did spend a lot of time putting these bars on and making sure they were even. So if it looks a little crooked, it's not because of the bars, it's because of the linen. So I'm not heartbroken over it. I am happy with this. I see this on my wall, hanging on my wall, and I love it, and I'm proud of it. So it's not that big a deal. But it is a lesson learned, and I just kind of want to pass that on in case anyone else out there is considering stitching a big piece like this. What's funny is, like, despite all of my stitching and all of the framing I've done, I still don't really know how to hang things in my home. I don't know how to display them, I should say, because I stitch kind of a variety of things. I have a couple samplers, I have some Blackbird Designs pieces, I have some Prim pieces, I have some Ink Circles pieces. So I don't love how these things are displayed right now. Like, this kind of looks like a weird museum wall. But, I guess as I add pieces in time, I think a big, like, long dog sampler would look awesome next to this. But I've been watching a lot of Jenny Long Dog Stitcher and Abby Bella Stitch lately, so they're getting to me. So hopefully, in time I'll have some other cool, big, monochromatic, I mean, this one didn't end up monochromatic, but some big monochromatic pieces in here that I think would look awesome. So that is my big red ship of life, finally FFO'd and hanging on the wall as I've always wanted it. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed all of those finishes. It is so nice to have all of those things hanging in my house, even if they don't really know how to display them. So I want to talk about kind of a new venture going into project bags. I have decided to sell some project bags on Instagram. You can follow me there if you're interested at Olivia B Bags, because I'm not very good at coming up with creative names. But I just thought I'd talk about it a little bit because you might be thinking, do we really need more project bags? A lot of people sell them, I know. But lately my quilting bug has kind of flown the coop. I know it's just temporary. I was quilting away, and I'm going to show you what I've been working on. I still love quilting, but it came time to start something new, and I just was overwhelmed by the thought of pulling everything out and starting a whole new quilt. I won't go too deep into it. It's just the pandemic. It's just like I find I get overwhelmed easily by projects, just because I'm at home all the time surrounded by stuff. And I used to go to the office 5 days a week, and when I was at the office, it's like all I could think about was stitching and quilting and all the things I wanted to do when I got home. And now I'm home all the time. So I know this is just temporary, but I didn't really feel like quilting, but I felt like sewing, and I didn't want to lose the momentum of, creating. I stitch in the evenings, like, to relax, and then sewing is kind of like the hobby that, like, I don't know. I can't think of a word. But like that's more like a weekend thing, and I have energy and I have ideas, and I want to go do stuff. So anyway, quilting seemed a little overwhelming, but I kept having ideas of like project bags I wanted to make, and then I have these beautiful fabrics I've collected. Like the first batch of bags are going to be Blackbird Designs fabrics. As I come across them sometimes in quilt shops or online, I will pick them up because they're out of print and they're beautiful. And I think that the fabrics are beautiful, I have found that realistically, I don't know how to incorporate them into quilts that are my style. I really love Civil War reproduction fabrics and quilts, and that's what I'm drawn to, and that's what I'm drawn to create. And I don't really know how to incorporate the Blackbird designs, like floral fabrics in there. And so I always thought they would make beautiful project bags, but like I have 4 whips, and I have plenty of project bags. I don't need a bunch of project bags. So long story short, I thought, you know what? I love how like Lisa, Kindred Stitcher, she has fun making project bags here and there, finds fabrics she thinks would be good ones for project bags, and then kind of at her own pace, we'll make a batch and we'll post them on Instagram for anyone who wants to buy them under a separate account. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to copy Lisa because she's a genius, right? So that's what I plan on doing. I am hoping to post the first batch. Well, I am going to post. I'm committing to posting the first batch of bags this coming weekend, which is, I guess, the last weekend in January. And this first batch will be project bags made from Blackbird Designs out of print fabrics. I have 4 different kinds that I'll be posting. I have 3 of them here to show you. The first 2 are from the Autumn Lily line of fabrics. I just think these are just so beautiful, but it's like I just don't know where to use them, right? So that's what they look like. They both have the same lining. Which is also from the Autumn Lily fabric line. So these are what my project bags look like. They're the front zipper, though I might make top zipper in the future. It kind of depends on the fabric and how I want to display it. I put my charts away already, but here's a book. If I have the zipper all the way open, the chart, the project fits well in there. So they're about, I want to say, about 13 by 13 roughly, or maybe 13 by 12 and a half, somewhere around there. I'll post the sizes when I post them on Instagram. So that'll be the first batch. I think I'm just shy of 20 bags. And I'm thinking they're going to be $30 each plus shipping. For this first round, I'm just going to do US only, and then I hope to open that to at least Canada once I figure out how the shipping prices go, because I want to give people an idea up front of what the shipping costs. For US, it's $5 each to start out with. So I've been having a lot of fun doing that. I love that I'm taking these fabrics out that have been sitting in my closet and actually using them. And I'm glad they'll go out in the world. And I'm glad that I'm like sitting at my sewing machine and sewing away. It's just really been enjoyable. I'm hoping in the future I will make bags with a variety of different kinds of fabrics. I would love to make some pieced bags. I am inspired by like Christy from Crosshatch Quilts, who makes those pieced like 2-inch square bags, and she's also made like I think she's made them out of like Lori Holt blocks and stuff. I would like to do maybe some with applique on them. I also love finding like fun fabrics secondhand. So I've been to a couple of quilter estate sales. So the belongings that they were selling were from quilters, and I've found some beautiful, like high, nice quality, clean fabrics there. If I buy fabric secondhand, I'll usually wash it just to make sure it's totally clean. I've found a couple cool ones at the Alameda Antique Fair. Antique sometimes is used loosely, so I wouldn't call these antique fabrics, but quilter guild sales, stuff like that. So I have fun finding like fun different kinds of fabrics, and I think it would be fun to use some of those in project bags. So we'll see. It's just fun to have a new thing to try out. The way my mind works, like I have plenty of self-doubt creeping up, but just trying to power through that and just have fun with this. And if the bags don't sell, I'm not quitting my day job. Everyone's gonna get project bags for Christmas, whether they stitch or not. So yeah, again, if you're interested in checking that out, Olivia B Bags on Instagram. I will post information once I know when I'm going to post the first bags for sale. And if those don't interest you, no harm done. Just don't follow that account and you won't be bombarded with that. So so looking forward to that. All right, so I wanted to, I know there's this one thing I keep meaning to show you guys, and then I always forget when it's time, but I remembered this time. So let me get my tablet real quick. Okay, so what I want to tell you about is an app. Some of you will already know this app, but I thought that this might be new and maybe helpful to some other people. So the app is called Scribd. I will put it on the screen here. I brought my tablet to show you. This is the little icon right there, that S. And a lot of people use it for like people who listen to a lot of audiobooks. It's basically a subscription service. So it costs $8.99 a month. So it works like a subscription service. So if you listen to audiobooks, a lot of people have Audible, right? That's through Amazon. That's also a subscription service. I think the subscription most people use, I think, is like the $14.99 a month. And every month you get an Audible credit, and books usually cost 1 credit. And then you also get other perks. They come out with some free stuff, stuff like that. So people who listen to a lot of audiobooks often subscribe to Scribd, because Scribd is kind of limitless. You can listen to as many audiobooks as you want. Now, I don't know if you listen to, say 60 audiobooks a month. I don't know if they have some limitations. I don't think they can limit how many you listen to, but what you may have to choose from gets limited. I'm not sure. I'm listening to an audiobook on it right now. It works great. I don't listen to a ton of audiobooks. I'd probably average maybe a couple a month. And kind of one of the drawbacks, I would say, why Audible might cost more than Scribd. Scribd, they're not going to have everything you want. Audible has a huge library. I don't know exactly how the library works with Scribd, because sometimes a book I'll look for isn't available, and then sometimes it is. I don't know how long things last, that kind of thing. So I don't know all the little fine, minute details of Scribd, but I am going to tell you how to do a free trial at the end. So that's what I would recommend if that interests you. The reason I wanted to tell you guys about it is because of the books. And this is going to apply probably mainly towards the quilters and people who are into wool applique, but also the cross stitchers. So you can make, the way it works, sorry, I'm not very good at this, but the reason I wanted to tell you guys about it, it doesn't have all ebooks in here. It doesn't have all magazines or anything like that, but it has quite an extensive library. And I have found that it has a lot of good quilting books. It also has a lot of good wool applique books, and it has some popular cross stitch books in here. You're not going to find a lot of out of print books. I don't think, I shouldn't get into things that I don't know. but for example, there's a couple of Maggie Bononomy books available on Scribd. You're not going to find the old out of print ones. You'll find like the most recent ones that have been published as ebooks. Those are available on here. So I just want to show you some of the books that are in here just to give you an idea. Oops, sorry, I got to get my dog to stop barking again. Okay. So some of the books in here to give you an idea. Just gonna go through here. So here's a list I've got. And then within here I've got like Dawn Heath, Bonnie Sullivan. There's one Blackbird Designs book in here, which is Home Sweet Home. And I'm gonna show you a project from this and how I used this book. But that's in here. It's got Joe Morton, a lot of Kim Deal. There's a couple of Jan Paddock books in here, Kathy Schmitz, Pam Buda, Lisa Bonjean, like the wool, needle, and thread books. Both of those are in here. Buttermilk Basin, like their ornament extravaganzas are in here. Julie Hendrickson, Betsy Chuchian, Susan Aki, Barbara Brackman, and then for you cross stitchers, like Emma Congdon's books are in here, or I don't know how many she has, but like I see Cross Stitch for the Earth, Cross Stitch for the Soul, Paula Barnes, Stacey West, Mary Blith, Rebecca Smith. So there are a lot of books. I mean, this isn't a beautiful way to show you, but you can keep different lists. So, like I have a wool applique list. I have a applique quilting list. I have a cross stitch list, etc. And so they've got a lot of books in here. And if you have a tablet or if you do it on your home computer, you basically, they'll show you, this is one of the wool, needle, and thread books from Primitive Gatherings, Lisa Bonjean. You know, you can just flip through like this. That's awesome. So I'm someone too that would prefer to have the book. I love flipping through those books, especially like on the weekend, cup of coffee, look through your quilting book. But I can't afford to buy every quilting book I want. They're usually around $25, right? And sometimes I don't know what's in them. And so this has been really nice. It's just like I just have, thousands of books at my fingertips. And if I find a book that where I like, several of the projects, then I can kind of add it to my hard copy wish list. So on top of those books, they also have magazines. They have some cross-stitch magazines, like Cross Stitcher, Cross Stitch Gold. I think I've seen like 4 or 5 on there. I thought I saw just cross stitch on there, but I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. And then there's a few quilting magazines on there, including my favorite magazine that I subscribe to, which is Primitive Quilting Projects. I definitely prefer hard copy magazines to looking at them digitally. But they are on there, and again, you could look through and see if there's projects you like. I think for cross stitch, if you like those, I would call them more modern designs, then you could, have them at your fingertips too. So I just wanted to tell you guys about that. So if you do subscribe, you get all of that in one. Again, they're not going to have everything. And then, the books, it's not just like quilting books, it's ebooks. It's legitimate. So I used to work in publishing, and I know how the contracts work. Authors get they do get royalties from these subscription services like Scribd or, Audible, Prime, any of those. I don't know exactly how Scribd works, if it's, if they get royalties maybe every time you read the book. I don't know. But I thought it was worth sharing in case you want to check it out. So I will put a link below. I will put a referral link. So if you use that link, I will get 30 days free subscription and you will get a 60-day free trial. If you would prefer not to do it that way, no harm done, I won't know. I would Google Scribd and you will get a 30-day free trial instead of 60 days if you do it that way. So might be worth checking out. I would definitely play around with the free trial first, obviously, and see if it has what you like. Oh, I did want to mention, so a lot of these books, like the ones that I use with the quilting, especially with applique and that kind of thing, they have templates, right? So if you bought the book, you would have the templates in there. So for example, with Home Sweet Home by Blackbird Designs, what they have is a link to the templates. So with Home Sweet Home, you follow that link, brings you to the publisher's webpage for that book and those templates. And each project within the book has a downloadable template. You download it as a PDF and you can print it that way. But there are some books that I've found where that is an issue. So the ones that I found it for were books that were not American, that were older. So like they have a lot of the Tilda books in there, but I think only the newest one has a link to templates that works. And Gail Pan is the same way. So I think what happened there was that the original publisher of those books went out of business or sold their catalog, and the publisher that took them over didn't update those links. So there is that. That's, again, something I would check out if you do a free trial and there's some books and you're like, oh, I'm definitely going to use this, and check to make sure that you can access the templates that you need to access. So that's it about Scribd. I hope someone finds that useful. Let me know if you use it already, or if you think there's something about Scribd that I should know that would be, even further help. Anyway, so that's it. That was kind of my transition between cross stitching quilting, because I feel like that could be useful for cross stitchers, but now I'm going to move over into quilting, and there won't be any more cross stitch content. All right, so I'm going to show you the two like full-size quilts last, because I think I need to go stand up somewhere for that. But I guess it was in the fall, I was up to date on I had finished my applique quilt. I showed that in my last video. I showed you my midnight silhouette. Still haven't quilted it into a finished quilt, but I had finished the applique, the quilt top for that, and I felt like doing some more applique. I didn't want to start an entire quilt, but I do know that one day I would really like to stitch the, this is Home Sweet Home from Blackbird Designs, the one I was just talking about with the ebook. This is one version of it, and it's these 9 houses, and it's just beautiful. You can see a lot of different colorways that people have done if you look it up online, and I would love to make that one day, but I thought I would just start with one block, and I decided to do 36 Oak Street, and I used scraps from my stash, and I made this. It's a little, I don't know, maybe louder than I originally had planned, but I think I like it. I'd have to see how it, if I made more of the houses, how this played into it. If it didn't fit well, then I could always just remake this block and make this into a pillow or something like that. But it was fun to make. If you watch my applique videos, you know I used the Applet Quick method for the house and the pieces within the house, like all of these. This time I tried the freezer paper and starch method that Lori from Textilist does a tutorial on. And I really liked that. That was helpful. I used the Applet Quick for these things, like the acorns, leaves, the stars, because I liked the firmness of being able to turn over the fabric, and I liked that method for it. But for the others, I used the freezer paper, I used the starch to prep them, then I took the freezer paper off and hand stitched them on that way, and it was a lot of fun. I liked the process, and I like how it's not as thick. It doesn't have all the layers of paper in it like it does the Applet Quick method. That's kind of a nice bonus. These are mostly Joe Morton fabrics. So I made that block. And yeah, I have to decide if it, I don't know. I'm always doubting myself with colors all the time. And then, I feel like all year last year I was watching Lisa from Prim's on Greenway and all of her wool applique, and constantly getting inspired by her. But it was warm here, and I didn't really feel like working with wool. So finally, once winter came along, I was ready. And then I didn't know what I was going to stitch. So I have a lot of kind of random pieces of wool. I've since learned that probably the best way to get wool is to do kits, because then you get exactly what you need. It's not really like sewing fabric and creating a collection. I mean, it can be for some serious wool people. But for me, wool is, I don't have anywhere I can buy it from around me. I have to buy it online. I can't always see the colors. Anyway, so I have a lot of random wool, and I found a project that looked like a lot of fun and that I could use like scraps and use up a lot of the random pieces that I wanted. And that is also in the Home Sweet Home book. So you can, I don't think you can find any hard copy unless it's secondhand, but you can get the ebook. So I showed you how you could get it on Scribd. I think you can also get it as a Kindle book, and maybe in other ebook formats. And this is the Holiday Table Runner. So it's all little pieces. It's just really cute. Here's another picture of it. How big is it? 49 inches long. I probably won't do the tongues. So they use a black wool background. You need a half yard. I just wasn't in a space where I wanted to spend the money on that. So I thought instead I would try flannel. Primitive Gatherings does flannel. They do flannel lines, and I know that they do like a nice quality flannel. And I was on Kitten Stitcher's website, and in her clearance section she had a couple pieces. She had some of that Primitive Gatherings flannel on sale, and so I purchased a piece of this kind of bluish gray, and then I also got a piece of like a dark brown, and I decided to go with this bluish gray one as my backdrop. And it's a very nice, pretty thick flannel. So it's been working out well. I'm using I use like a fusible, lightweight fusible, double-sided. So what I do is I trace the shapes on to the fusible, fuse that onto the wool, then cut them out along the lines, peel the paper off the back, and then fuse it onto this flannel, and then hand stitch them on. That's the process I've been using. What else would I say? Anyway, let me just show it to you. Show you where I am. So I've got this kind of like tape. It's called tiger tape. I picked some up at an estate sale. I'm regretting my decision to put it on here because when I iron on the fusible, the iron sometimes gets on the tape and it's leaving a residue, but that's going to be turned under when I'm done. But I need some kind of line on here to know where the edges are. I didn't want to cut the fabric all the way down with the wool because this does fray. So anyway, here's my big piece. I am on this end. I've got my little Christmas duck with a scarf. This will be a house. Hey, Dusty. In this end, I have done this house with the cardinal on it. So it's been a lot of fun. It's a little pieces and then a little bit of embroidery there on the window and the door. I'm using like my 80 weight cotton thread, but you could use whatever you want. So yeah, I'm using scraps, but I did have to buy some white wool. I like buying wool from Fiddlesticks Designs on Etsy. If you are interested in buying wool from them, I would suggest signing up for their newsletter, and then they always send out like discount codes every month. So yeah, that's where I'm right now. I haven't worked on it too much lately, but I will pick it up again. So the way I've been working on it, so the book comes with like a big tear out template thing in the back. The nice thing about having the scribed version and it linking to the PDF of the templates is I was able to print it out that way, the templates for this. So this, you can do it, it has it like a long version, 2 pieces, one for each half. The downloadable template, I think they have that, but they also have it where it's page by page, so it takes up 12 pages. So what I did was I printed out the 12 pages, and then I've been going through each page and tracing the templates. I haven't gone through all of them yet. So I trace the templates for that page, say page 1. I cut them out and keep them all in a little baggie. Then I go and I press them onto the wool, put all those little wool pieces in the baggie. At some point I cut them all out, put those cut out pieces back in the baggie, and then I go in and I've basically been fusing them and then sewing them on page by page. So like I think I'm on my 3rd page. Maybe I finished my 3rd page. And that's kind of how I've been keeping track of it. So that was helpful. So yeah, so that's my wool applique project. Now I'm going to show you the 2, I think I have 2, or well, no, actually I since I last talked about quilting, I did make 2 baby quilts. And I'll insert pictures for those. I made one quilt for my cousin in Switzerland who had a baby boy. I'll insert a picture of that here. Just like a patchwork. And then the other one is a quilt that I made for my boss who had a little boy, and I'll insert a picture of that here. So those are the 2 baby quilts I made. And then the other 2 quilts are quilt tops that I think I have shown in the past, but in the winter I really tried to focus on seeing my quilts through to completion. So let me show you those. Wait, before I get into the big quilts, while I'm still sitting down, I had forgotten something else I wanted to show you, but actually before that, that baby quilt that I made for my boss, that was kind of based on this pattern called Playful 2 by Cluck Cluck Sew. It just had the windmills and these patches. I bought the pattern and then realized it wasn't really going to work out exactly with my vision. So with the way I wanted to cut the fabric that I had is like the main fabric. So I didn't actually use the pattern, but I did get the idea for it from this. So I want to make sure I showed that. And what I wanted to show you is a gift I received. Amy Jepson, she is on Instagram. She shares a lot of beautiful things that she's made. I'd highly recommend following her there. But she had sent me this amazing package, and I talked about it in my last video because there were cross-stitch things in there. But there were also just amazing quilting things in there. And she sent me... her and I have very similar tastes, so it was very exciting. And she sent me 2 kits. I'd never had a quilting kit before. And this one is called Ava's Doll Quilt from Piecing the Past Quilts. And then this one, I really need to make this soon. This is called Rosebuds from Piecing the Past Quilts. Just gorgeous, gorgeous. I love those. Thank you so much, Amy. And then I really wanted to share this because this was pretty inspiring. Amy sent me packages of her scraps, and these are, I mean, these are right up my alley. These are Civil War reproduction prints, and I think we love the same designers. And I should have taken them out of the package by now, but I love looking at them. I will randomly pull them out on the weekends and think of all the things I want to make with them. Opening this package was just like Christmas morning. There's nothing like getting fabric scraps from someone who loves the same fabrics. And it was inspiring in that, you know, when I make a quilt and I have scraps left over, as much as I love those fabrics, I mean, I obviously love them a lot because I made a quilt out of them. Sometimes they can feel a little burdensome. Like I made a quilt and a table runner out of Farmhouse Reds from Minnick and Simpson because I love the line and it's beautiful. But by the time I was done with all that, I still have scraps and it's like, oh my gosh, okay, I've made enough with this line. But I love the idea of sending the scraps from your projects to someone else who loves those same fabrics because then they can make something new with it. Like just seeing those arriving, I just wanted, as soon as I saw them, I wanted to sew them all together. I still do. So thank you again, Amy. That was just a wonderful gift out of nowhere, and it inspires me every time I look at it. I love those fabrics so much. So I wanted to share that. So now to the quilts. Okay, so the first quilt I'm going to show you has been fully completed. This is a checkerboard quilt. I want to show you my inspiration first. This book, Buttonwood Farm by Maggie Bononomy. In it, she has this quilt, which is a blue and white checkerboard quilt. Hers are 1-inch, finished at 1-inch squares, and she hand-pieced the whole thing. Hers is 48 by 48, but it's just so beautiful. You can see the hand piecing there. So I really wanted to make one. I did squares that finish at 2 inches, though I would love to do a postage stamp quilt one day with 1-inch squares. But mine finished at 2 inches, but it is a bigger quilt and it's machine pieced. And I added in a little bit of Joe Morton gold just because I couldn't help myself. So let's see here. You get the idea. It is blue and white checkered. It's the line is Indigo Gatherings from Primitive Gatherings, the blues, and then I used the whites in that line as well. But then I had to fill in a lot more. A lot of it is I think it's a Kim Deal Black and Blush or something like that. But anyway, and then yeah, the gold from Joe Morton, and I love it. This is on my bed. And then I backed it with, actually this is more of a modern print. This is a Ruby Star Society, I think from the Alma line, but I love the colors and butterflies. And then it's just pieced with another bit of that gold. So I hand quilted this one, which is why it took me a while. I did my kind of big stitch quilting with some pearl cotton. I just did these lines through the blue. And then I also added the binding. I did some big stitching in the binding. So that's that quilt, and it is done. Woo. All right, and then the other one is the my Wild Goose Chase quilt. This is a pattern from Fat Quarter Shop. and I used Joe Morton and Pam Buddha fabrics for mine, and it's not complete, so I have quilted the inside of it, so that's this one. Oh, I'm sorry guys, these are really hard to show, no matter how far back I can go. Yeah. So I machine quilted this one. I have never machine quilted a full-size quilt before. I've only done baby quilts. I thought it was gonna be really hard, and I was right. I broke a needle in like within 2 minutes. I swore a lot. I had to do it in spurts, you know. I would do like, so you can see I kind of did these squares. I would do a few at a time and then take a break. The way I got through it was I refused to change the foot on my sewing machine. So I had my quilting, or my, what do you call it, the walking foot on. And I just never, I wouldn't allow myself to change it so that I could not piece anything until I finished quilting it. But it is done. And that machine quilting part is, I decided to, I didn't know how to really do the borders, and I decided I would hand quilt the borders. So I'm still in the process of that. Let me find one that's done. I don't think you can tell. I'm not sure you can tell. Well, yeah, you can see it. So I'm just doing that on the borders. It's really just making it up as I go along kind of deal. And hopefully it looks good in the end. I've made the binding, but I have to finish hand quilting the borders, trim it down, and then sew the binding on, and I'll be done. I did a pieced backing. I think I will take pictures of the front and back and insert them here. So that's where I am with my quilts. My dad has promised me that one day he's going to make a mantle for my fireplace, and then I can put, you know, I want a mantle so I can put stitch things on it. I should say pictures of my family, right? Anyway, I think that's it. So again, I have not started a new big quilt. I want to finish quilting that, and I still need to figure out how I am going to quilt my Midnight Silhouette quilt. My plan is to learn how to do machine quilting, what do you call it? I'm talking about. I just need to learn how to quilt it. I need to figure out what I'm going to do there, but I will eventually. I made my back, a pieced backing. I made my binding, and I bought black batting from Fat Quarter Shop. So I'm all set with that. I just need to do the actual quilting. Anyway, that was a lot of stuff. Thank you so much for joining me. For those of you who have stuck around, thank you for watching. Thank you so much to those of you that always leave me nice comments on YouTube and on Instagram. I really can't tell you how much that support means to me. It's just so nice to have all of you. So I hope you are all doing well, and take care. Until next time, bye.